There have been several famous films about the crucifixion of Christ, including the 1979 film Jesus and the Passion of the Christ, a 2004 American epic biblical drama film produced, directed, and co-written by the award-winning actor Mel Gibson. A pivotal scene in each of these movies was when the Roman governor Pontius Pilate proclaimed that he could not find any fault in Jesus, so he planned to release him, to the dismay of the crowd of religious zealots.
This man unto me as one that perverteth the people. I have examined him before you, and find no fault with this man touching those things whereof you accuse him. I have sent him to Herod. He has found that nothing worthy of death has been done. I will therefore chastise him and release him. According to your custom, at this time of year, one prisoner shall be released.
Barabbas. Free Barabbas.
What shall I do then with Jesus, who is called the Christ?
Crucify him.
The 2-minute message preview at the non-denominational New Hope Olympia is a piercing question. So what's the question? In Matthew 27, Jesus Christ stood on trial before Pilate, and in verse 22, Pilate asked the most personal and pressing question, what shall I do with Jesus? What we do with Jesus is an unavoidable decision each of us will make. What we decide, or do not decide, will dictate our eternity. We must consider Pilate's decision. Pilate's voice of reason and conscience raised the alarm as the people cried out for Jesus' death. He examined the evidence and listened to witnesses, including his wife, verse 19, and Jesus, who confessed that he was the King of Kings. John 18:37. Though the voices that confronted Pilate revealed the right thing to do, his warped values pressured him to decide otherwise. Public opinion pressured Pilate. The people viciously called for Jesus' blood. His boisterous pride, lofty position, and great possessions were more valuable than the innocent man standing before him. At first, Pilate ignored the issue, then shifted the decision to King Herod. When Herod declined and sent Jesus back to Pilate, he confessed Jesus was faultless, yet decided not to decide. However, as Adrian Rogers warns, you cannot be neutral about Jesus. Matthew 27:24 says, when Pilate saw that he could not prevail at all, but rather that a tumult was rising, he took water and washed his hands before the multitude, saying, I am innocent of the blood of this just person. You see to it. Pilate's rejection of reason and misplaced values made Jesus' trial a mockery of justice. Pilate's neutral verdict condemned Jesus and himself to death. We have an opportunity to make a different decision. Analyzing the evidence from Scripture and the saints' witnesses, old and new, we know Jesus is exactly who he says he is. And perhaps the most crucial witness of them all is God the Father. 1 John 5:9 says, if we receive the witness of men, the witness of God is greater. For this is the witness of God which he has testified of his Son. We know that Jesus is Lord because God reversed the court's decision after he was crucified and raised him from the dead. In his weekend message, Pastor Dell will give us 3 insights about Pilate's question, the voices that confronted Pilate, and the values that controlled Pilate. He will conclude his message by talking about the verdict that condemned Pilate. What do you think Ben Matlock of the TV series Matlock would do? Why, he would call for a retrial and call his witnesses, then cross-examine some witnesses. Of course, that didn't happen. However, Jesus is on trial in your life. You cannot be neutral about Jesus, you cannot avoid him, escape him, or bypass him, so the question is, what will you do with him?